the name Flox comes from flocks of birds, and I'm very surprised that people ask me all the time where that name comes from, and they're pleasantly surprised. So flocks of birds. So I think the bird obsession, I feel like it came around quite naturally, but I guess in hindsight, the birds, they are a representation of us Kiwis. We're a bird-loving nation. We love our birds, and they're a national identity. So the birds became a vehicle for me to communicate with my audience, I suppose. So, and they've just stuck around. As a child, I was always doodling. I remember this is pre-5, I remember using my nana's typewriter to type up little sentences and then illustrate the other side so I could make little books. So I remember that quite vividly, actually. But I was always drawing or colouring in or copying something. So in terms of that evolving into Flox, I went to, first of all in 7th form, which was year 13, I did all art subjects, and then a couple of years after that I enrolled in art school. At the time I was playing around with spray paint and doing some stuff on the street. I was having little exhibitions, that sort of thing. The journey has been, it's fully been up and down, but it's also just been an absolute dream, When I came out of art school, like everyone else in my class, I was like, shit, what am I going to do now, And I knew that I was someone that did well with momentum. And so I needed to keep the momentum up of creating. So that was when I said to myself, I can't wait around for something to fall into my lap. I've got to take this into my own hands, and I've got to make some stuff happen on my own. So it wasn't like I had decided at that point, I am going to be my own boss and that's going to be my destiny and that's going to be my forever, because it would be silly to think that, wouldn't it? I just took it day by day, I think, and the projects started coming in little bit by little bit, and I kept the doors open and the opportunities open. I grew up in a small town in the far north called Kaitaia. I lived there until the age of 16, and I moved to Auckland so I could do all art subjects for my bursary year. And I've been here ever since. But I do love going back, my roots are up north. My father lives in Ahipara, right on the beach there, so I like to take the kids up. My 6-year-old absolutely loves it because his koro is a fisherman. So we get that beautiful opportunity every now and then to, go up and just be a Northlander and just chill and, not look at my watch. I love living in New Zealand. I think I'm extra grateful of, living here. Living in New Zealand is absolutely a wonderful thing for the kids, and to bring up my kids here in New Zealand. It's a pretty special place. I can't really compare. I've been to a lot of countries in the world, and they all have their own merits, I suppose. But what I love about New Zealand is the space, really. You really don't get that until you go over to some of those other countries where, there's just not a lot of space. The population's huge, and, I think that's very special. In terms of significant impact artistically, I would say a guy called Ross Liu, who we used to work together many moons ago. We started collaborating on the big murals together. I got to a point where the stencil medium, right, is I only got to a point where I couldn't go any bigger, right? And I wanted to go bigger. So we joined forces, and we now do the big jobs together. And I think in terms of inspiration, he's been great because he's brought a whole bunch of new skill set to the table. We each bring our own, which is great. And then collaborating with someone from the get-go for a project, it's like we're talking research, client liaison, of course, pre-production, concept visual, and then right up until getting on site and painting the side of the building, So collaborating with someone artistically, your walls are taken down. You have to take on their critique and vice versa, and then you have to kind of get to to a point that you're both happy with the two aesthetics coming together. It's cool. Like, collaboration is huge. Like, I feel like it is something that has pushed me in my own practice. It has taken me outside of my comfort zone. It's never easy. But yeah, I really find, he's been very inspiring, and he's really helped my practice evolve. Trust is key, definitely. With collaboration, I feel you really have to trust in that person. You have to trust their decisions. You have to trust that they know, they've got an end game, or they know what, they have an idea of what they want to present to the client. And you've got to trust that you're on the same page, I think. Community is people coming together, and for me, I like to think that I create artwork that can connect community, that there's this visual story, this visual narrative that really speaks to people. And I remember an experience up in India. I was painting a mural, and we've got no communication with language, of course, like passerbys. They can't understand me, I can't understand them, but we can connect through that piece. And it was just so cool. It was amazing. So for me, that's my idea of community. And I think that's what floats my boat the most in my practice at the moment, is going out into those communities and creating something really special for them. So the Grateful project came along, and I jumped on it. Like, I love the idea of supporting a really, really worthy cause. Who wouldn't want to design a pair of undies? So my design, we worked through it. There were some technical hurdles to get over, but we got there in the end. And yes, so the design features a leopard, and the leopard actually is the stencil that I created while in Taiwan in my residency. And it's actually the clouded leopard, which was thought to be extinct. I wake up every morning and I feel really grateful. I feel grateful for my children. I feel grateful that I've been able to create this life for myself, for them. I'm so grateful that I'm doing what I love. I'm grateful that I love mornings, and that I want to get out of bed and I want to go to work. So I think being involved in this Grateful campaign, it is a fantastic opportunity. I've worked on another campaign for bowel cancer before, and it is a very worthy cause. It's a huge killer here in New Zealand. It's crazy. It's like, it doesn't even affect just older generation, right? It affects people in their 20s and 30s. It's scary. It's so scary. So it's really an absolute privilege to use my passion to bring awareness to people and to create some dialogue and a bit of education, I suppose. So any money raised is a good thing.